Congratulations to Coach Staley and her team last night on the awesome win, and excited about the weekend coming up in Dallas. What a great opportunity and what a testament to their program and the consistency year in, year out. Got so much respect for them. They get every single team's best shot week in, week out. And to go through the season to this point undefeated is awesome. Just saw some of the players downstairs in the training room. Nobody's injured, so no worries. They were down there with the chiropractor as well, but pretty amazing turnaround that they're playing last night and headed for Dallas today. But no, they're excited and wish them luck, and we'll be pulling hard for them. Awesome weekend in Columbia last weekend for us. We had our high school coaches clinic and had a great group of coaches, high school coaches that were here visiting. Really enjoyed getting to visit with them. Really enjoyed hearing from our speakers, Arthur Smith of the Falcons, longtime NFL coach Joe DeCamillis, and then Sylvester Kroom, Frank Beamer, and David Cutcliffe on our Legends Roundtable Saturday morning was really, really awesome. So appreciate those guys being here and appreciate all of our speakers as well. It was a fun weekend and great fellowship. Back on the practice field today, just finished practice 7. Good work. Got some guys injury-wise, nothing major long-term. Just got some bumps and bruises, some hamstrings, things like that, primarily in the defensive back group. Trying to get those guys healthy. It's good to see Pup Howard back out there practicing today. He's been out for a couple weeks with a hamstring, so it's good to see him be back out there running around. And got a lot to get better at, but really like this group and the way they're working. And practice 8 coming up on Thursday, and then our first scrimmage of the spring will be on Saturday morning, along with our ladies clinic, our sold-out ladies clinic. So excited about spending Saturday afternoon with them as well. So with that, any questions you guys have? David's not here, so what are we going to do? Is it Gene or is it Colin? They're fighting over it right now. Go ahead, Gene.
Shane, at this point, how would you assess the strengths and weaknesses or your concerns about your run game and your run defense?
It's hard to say. I shouldn't say hard to say. It's through 7 practices, so there's bits and pieces of information that we've been able to glean. But I believe we'll be able to run the ball. I like we don't have enough running backs. We got to continue to increase the depth, so that's an area of concern. But the group, the 3 guys that are working as our top 3 right now, Mario and Juju and DeCarrion, I've really been impressed with and their skill set, like our offensive line and the way that they've been able to do things. We've got athletic quarterbacks as well. So, I've been pleased with the running game. We've just got to continue to hone in, Gene, on what schemes we're going to run, what we're best at, along with, who are the guys that we're going to be able to count on. And then run defense as well. A lot of times in spring practice, there's a big play on the offense. It's because the defense misfit a gap, or if there's a big play on the defense, the offense is, missed a block or stepped the wrong way or whatever. But, I've seen signs of us really being able to do a good job. Our defensive backs tackling. We had some runs on Saturday. We didn't scrimmage, but we had some live, 11-on-11 tackling periods and played it like a game. And in those, situations, we had some runs that popped out of there that safeties and corners were able to come up and make tackles. That was good to see. And, we're working a lot of guys in there at the defensive line and linebacker position to try and figure out who we can count on. So to answer your question, strengths, I think we're in a good place as far as installation and showing signs of being able to run the ball and stop the run better than what we did last year. Areas of concern would be just continue to develop the depth on both sides of the ball to figure out, who we're going to be able to count on and the schemes that we'll be able to use to be efficient.
Keep the tradition alive and say thanks for doing this. But you talked a couple weeks ago about throwing a lot at these guys offensively from an install perspective. How has that gone through the first 7 practices, and is this offense probably where you'd expect it to be through the first 2.5 weeks of spring ball?
Yeah, it is. Dow and I met and talked about that yesterday, just kind of where we are and what we need to do going forward and how to continue to get better. We have, thrown a lot at them, so to speak, but a lot of it is not. A lot of the, passing game concepts are things they know from last year. If you're new here, you're Trey Knox or Josh Simon or Eddie Lewis, you don't know it. It's new for you. But, I think just the multiplicity in formations and motions and things like that, we have thrown a lot out of them, a lot at them. Offensively, our players need to do a great job of being able to learn conceptually and not just I am the Z receiver on this play and I run a 12-yard curl route, understanding what every receiver is doing on the play, so you can therefore do more things and be dependable and able to use in different ways. So we've thrown a lot at them, but it's been good teaching, good learning, and I like where we are right now. Certainly that first offense, the older guys, the returning starters, they're humming along pretty good right now. The challenge for us is the depth behind them, kind of to answer Gene's question, just developing that depth behind them and the other receivers and tight ends and running backs and offensive linemen and quarterbacks, they need to come along. They're a little bit farther behind, obviously, and there's a lot of freshmen that are in that group as well, but they're continuing to get better and eager to see how they continue to improve this week going into the scrimmage on Saturday.
That first offense, are y'all rolling with the same group of 5 up front, or are you mixing and matching it a lot like y'all are, like you said, you're doing on the defensive?
We're mixing and matching and rolling guys in there, but primarily, we got Jalen, Nick / Ja'Kai, Vershawn, Trey Jones, Wanamaker. I think those 6. Been pretty regular. Marquis Anderson's a true freshman that's, certainly has really opened up a lot of eyes and getting some work. But by no means, we talked about it in the team meeting this morning. There's no jobs that are settled. There's no jobs that we know this is going to be the starting 5 or the starting anything. We're competing, and we're not even halfway through spring practice. And eager to see, do those guys that are working with those top groups, not just at offensive line, but any position, do they continue to get better and separate themselves from everybody else? Or do they get complacent because we're halfway through spring practice and all of a sudden get beat out? That's what I'm eager to see. But we feel pretty good about those guys on the offensive line and also some young guys. Ryan Brubaker, Kason Henry's been hurt, but eager to get him back out there coming off surgery. And Brubaker and Grayson Maines. There's a lot of young guys that we're excited to continue to get a lot of work, and that's the one thing that we want to do here going forward is, some of these guys that maybe haven't gotten as much work these first 6 practices, really throw them in there and get them a lot of opportunities here the last half of spring practice and see what they can do.
Shane, with the versatility that Gargiulo brings to the offensive line, being able to play practically any position, is it about putting him in the position that you feel like is best for him, or do you feel like it's truly, whatever's best for the team and kind of just putting him there based on, the strengths of the other guys around him?
Yeah, I think with him, it's he's everything you want in a offensive lineman. He's tough, he's nasty, and I mean that in a good way. He's dependable, he's smart. He plays the game that we want the game to be played like on our football team and on our offensive line. So we're a better team when he's on the field, and he's got position flexibility. He can do some center, he can play some guard, and the more you can do, the better. And with him, certainly we're always going to do what's best for the team, but we're always going to do what's best for him. But what's best for him is probably best for the team, and that's the fact that he can play multiple positions and brings a mentality to our offensive line that I like having out there.
You mentioned some guys being further behind. How do you go about fixing that in a short, limited number of practices? Is it just throwing stuff at them quick? Is it kind of trusting the development of the freshmen last year? How do you go about closing that gap quickly?
It's one, taking advantage, throwing them out there, and to me, there's only way you can learn and get better is to get out there and get reps. So that's what we did today in some situations. Just threw a lot of those guys out there and just let them go. We'll do that on Thursday in practice. We'll do that in the scrimmage on Saturday, get those guys work. But then it's also their responsibility to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing in the time now between practice on Tuesday and practice on Thursday. They got the rest of the afternoon from an academic standpoint, but then when they're free, are they spending that time on football and doing everything in their power to learn what to do? And if you know what to do, you're going to get more opportunities. And then when they come in here tomorrow morning and we have a special teams meeting at 8 a.m., do they learn in that special teams meeting and get better? Then when we break and the offense lifts and the defense meets, and then then we flip it after an hour and a half, are they using that time to get better? So it's not just, to me, the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays that we're practicing. It's the whole bulk of spring practice. There's a lot of learning opportunities, and it's spending the time that they need to spend outside this building on football, but then also making sure they're capitalizing on every opportunity they get out there on the field as well. And then it's our job as coaches, obviously, to figure out what they don't know and why they may be struggling with something, or whether it be a technique or a scheme, and do our job and coach and teach as well.
Shane, you mentioned running backs. I think you guys have, like 2 scholarship running backs right now. I guess, do you have a magic number there that you want to hit or anything like that? And then you mentioned Marquis as well. Just obviously the offensive line of all the positions is one of the harder ones to break into as a freshman. I mean, how's he kind of been able to do that?
Yeah, running back wise, like our ideal number of scholarship running backs is 5, and if you count the carry on as a running back, we're at 3. We got 1 coming in DJ Braswell. So I don't think we're in crisis mode there. If we can add another running back or find another running back just from a depth standpoint, that would be ideal. But again, that also goes back to the guys that just because you may not be on scholarship here, that doesn't mean that we're just moving on. We recruit walk-ons actively, and we try and bring good walk-ons in here that can contribute to our football team. So there's opportunities for, yes, we have 2 to 3 scholarship running backs right now, but we've got some other guys that came here as walk-ons that are doing some good things this spring as well, and eager for those guys to continue to come along. And we talked about it this morning in our team meeting. Like when we go play North Carolina in game 1 up in Charlotte, I'm not getting on the bus with only 3 running backs. We're going to take 5, maybe more running backs up there. And so who on this team is 4 and 5? And if it's not somebody on this team, then we got to figure that out. But they're getting opportunities to show if they can be those guys, and then being able to contribute on special teams as well. And then Marquis, he's been fantastic. He's comes from an awesome family. First and foremost, he comes from a great program at Dorman. He's a great young man, and he's really, really, really smart. Really smart. We're using him. He's another guy. He's playing some left tackle. He's playing some guard. And to do that as a freshman and hold your own out there is pretty impressive. And really excited about him and his development. The moment's not too big for him. He understands what we're doing schematically, and he has shown some toughness as well in practice. And to me, that's like you said, it's the hardest position to play as a freshman, because I mean, Jalen Kilgore went to the prom Saturday night. You know, I mean, you should still be in high school getting ready for prom, and instead you're out here blocking Boogie Huntley and guys that are 4 or 5 years older than you and have been in a weight program for 4 or 5 years, and it's hard. But he is not lost by any stretch of the imagination, and shown intelligence and toughness at the position. So excited about him as he continues to develop.
A couple questions. One, kind of going back to running back a little bit with DJ Braswell, for example. What are y'all allowed to do now? Can you kind of refresh me on what y'all are allowed to do with your signees before they get here in terms of meeting with them, talking to them, playbook, and all that stuff?
Yeah. They're like, DJ was here last weekend for practice. So, I mean, when they're able to get over here, being able to get around our program as much as I can and kind of learn what's going on. So DJ was here for practice and was able to sit and be around and watch what we're doing. And then, you know, in the meantime, we're able to intro the offense and get them up to speed. But I think sometimes that's overrated. I mean, I shouldn't say overrated. Whatever you talk to a guy about maybe schematically in March when they're in high school and running track, I really don't know how much they're going to retain when they get here in June or the end of May really is when they arrive. For them, the best thing, Hale, is that the NCAA allows us now to have essentially the summer to prep them for practice. And we're able to do more from a football standpoint once they're here in regards to meetings and being able to go out on the field with them than we ever have in college football. So they really get the month of June and the month of July to get ahead, for us to be able to meet with them. And it's essentially kind of I don't want to say extra spring practice because we're not practicing, but mentally they're able to really get caught up. But we're able to do, quite a bit right now, but it's also, limited in regards to what we are doing with them.
And the other one was recruiting related. Obviously, y'all cranked back up last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Been pretty fruitful so far, it seems. Can you sum up your thoughts on
Yeah,
so far?
really been pleased. A lot of great prospects that have been here on campus for practices, whether it be on the weekends, which are obviously huge numbers, or Tuesdays and Thursdays, or even during the week when we're not practicing. Prospects that are here from South Carolina and then multiple states as well that have been on campus. So really pleased. Love it when they do come here. All they talk about is the energy at practice and the way that our guys are competing and working on the field. And they've been other places and they talk about how the energy here in this, not just on the field, but in this program, is different. And I love to hear that. So excited about. We had a bunch of guys here today, and we'll have guys throughout the week and this weekend as well. And gearing up for a great environment for the spring game here in a few weeks, and that'll be great from a recruiting standpoint as well. But as I've always said, whenever we can get prospects and their families on campus, this city, this facility, this program, sells itself once they're able to get here. And it's been a lot of positives being able to get those guys back on campus, and we got to capitalize on each and every day.
With the scrimmage coming up, what are some things you'll have your eye on and looking for from the team?
Yeah, one, being able to operate. Obviously, a lot of the things that we're doing offensively are new, just the mechanics of stuff, and we're not going to have coaches out there getting guys lined up every single play. Can we get the communication from the sideline to the quarterback and the play run cleanly and the personnel groupings in and out? Can we not beat ourselves and have dumb penalties like that from an operation standpoint? Same thing on defense too. We've always used multiple personnel groupings on defense, and we'll continue to. And then, I'm just looking forward to watching our guys compete. There's a lot of new faces, and whether it's true freshmen or transfers, and just watching those guys out there in that setting for the first time, I'm looking forward to. So they've been working hard. The spirit and energy and the competitive spirit and energy and toughness they're practicing with right now has been awesome all 7 days, and I want to see that on Saturday also.
Shane, all you coaches talk about, we have a great culture here, or most of them do. You didn't come in from Oklahoma and instantly it was a great culture, or I'm guessing it probably wasn't that first day. But how long did it take for you to say, okay, we've established this culture and it's a significant real thing here?
It's a good question. It definitely wasn't immediate, and I still think every day it's a work in progress, Gene. I think we're in a great place right now, but by no means have we think that we got it all figured out and that we relax. And because every year is so different with the number of new people that come into your program each and every year. But early on, we were very intentional about it, especially when I first got hired. I wasn't spending a lot of time from a X's and O's standpoint in the offensive and defensive meetings when I first got hired. I was in the weight room and out on the field and around these guys as much as possible. And you certainly saw signs of it when you first got hired, early in the stages of getting hired throughout spring practice. There's things, but they're constantly learning and we're constantly teaching what we want. And I just think it's an over time thing that's built with trust. That the players back in 2021, that first spring and season, understood that what we wanted, that we were going to be honest with them. We weren't going to say one thing and do another. And I'll always go back to game 2 of 2021, when we went and played at East Carolina. And at that point, we really hadn't faced a lot of adversity as a program. Luke Doty got hurt in preseason practice, so we had to overcome that. And that was a time where I realized that all eyes are on me in regards to me being the head coach, and the players on this program were looking at me. But I think back to that day in Greenville that, we went down 14-0. First play of the game, we went down 7-0 after we warned them to watch out for the double pass on the first play of the game. But we're down 14-0. But I'll always point back to that day and be really, really proud, because we were down 14-0 and there was no panic. And that was the first time that as a program we had dealt with adversity, and they realized that we as coaches, we didn't change. All of a sudden, it wasn't like we were screaming and yelling and all that. We just continued to be ourselves, and we came back, and we didn't play pretty in the second half, but we came back and won against a good East Carolina team that day. And I was proud of that. That was a sign early on, and then throughout the season, I think we lost the next 2 after that. But after that, we never lost 2 games in a row. We always would come back after a loss, and so I would say that was a sign. And then just the way that our guys worked and got better throughout the season was really kind of evident to me that, okay, we're on the right track. We got good people in this program, and I think there were just little signs throughout the season as well. But again, it's still intentional each and every day, because there's a lot of things that we talked about in 2021 and in building this culture that guys are here now that have never heard me say. And for me, it's balancing the message I gave a lot of these guys in 2021 with being stale because they've heard me say it over and over, but then it's also the first time some people are hearing it as well. So it's a constant experience.
Are you in position to comment about Sean Ryan joining your staff?
I believe so. I think everything's been gone through. We've brought on Sean as an offensive assistant, somebody that didn't really know him well. Phil knew of him for a long time back when he worked with the Houston Texans. Bill O'Brien was the head coach of the Texans, and Billy was the running backs coach when I was at Georgia Tech as a graduate assistant. And Billy was the head coach, and Craig Fitzgerald, the whole strength coach here at South Carolina, was his strength coach. And I went out to Houston 2 or 3 times just to spend some time with those guys as a coaching staff, and didn't really spend a whole lot of time with Sean. I was with some of the other guys that I knew, but just watched him coach and knew of him. And obviously being up in Charlotte last year with the Panthers, and it was an opportunity. The guy was close and had some connections to Dow, and it's just another set of eyes, very similar to a role that Freddie Kitchens was in for us last year. Another set of eyes for those guys in that offensive staff room, and somebody that has coached offense for a long time and can continue to make us better. And again, any staff hire that I make, I'm a less is more guy. I don't want to be hiring people just to hire people. I don't want a ton of people in this program that don't have defined roles. And this was an opportunity to get somebody in here that could make us better.
I was going to say, do you guys have any kind of official word on Strawn or Dante Miller? I know that assumption is they're going to be okay, but have you guys gotten anything official there?
Strawn is official. He is good to go. And excited for him, and thankful that the powers that be decided that. And then Dante, we're still waiting on final word.
Shaq Wilson off to the NFL with the Jets. Is there any plans to replace him? Have you already replaced him? And I guess who's dealing with some of his responsibilities while he is off to the NFL?
Yeah. Congratulations to Shaq, and excited for all of our young coaches that get opportunities. Don't want to lose them, but excited that, guys that have left this program, they've left not because they were unhappy and trying to get out of here. They've left for promotions in their career. And excited for Shaq. Nobody loves Carolina more. I was in Mexico on spring break, and he called to tell me that he had been offered the job. And he was emotional on the phone telling me that he was taking the job because of how much he loves this place. And I appreciate that. But what a great opportunity for him. Excited for Shaq. He loves Gamecock football and Gamecock Athletics through and through. As far as his role right now, he was an analyst, so it's kind of by committee. Fortunately, we're in spring practice, so we're not doing a lot of or any breakdowns for an opponent that we're getting ready to play this Saturday. It's our own team, so there's not quite the workload that you would need from an analyst standpoint right now. So he, kind of assisted as an analyst, the coach right now. He assisted Jimmy and Sterling with that defensive line, but those guys are fine right now as far as what they're doing. So we really haven't had to have anybody, quote unquote, pick up the slack. And then certainly we'll look. That's something, we lost trying to think. Who else did we lose on defense? Devontae, yes. Devontae got an opportunity as well. So with Devontae moving on, and then Shaq moving on, there's a couple, positions there on defense as well. And then we took Trey Money, who's one of our graduate assistants, who's done a great job, and we're going to make Trey here in time one of the analysts on defense as well. So we've got some flexibility on that defensive staff, and that's something that Clayton and I have talked about what we want to do with that side of the ball next. He and I just really kind of want to get through spring practice, see what our needs are, where we can find somebody, if there is anybody that can best help our defense and our football program here going forward. But we've talked to some people about some positions on the defensive side of the ball, and we'll kind of see where things go.
Shane, your signees and commitments becoming in social media some of your best recruiters. Is that a bigger thing as you recruit better and better players?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's certainly when you've got guys that are committed to you and they're actively out there trying to recruit other people to your program. Absolutely, and we've got some really good players committed to us right now, and they're trying to actively recruit some really good players to join them as well. So I think that's huge. And I tell our players all the time, like even when we bring in players to our program on recruiting visits, we can show them all this and do all we want as coaches. Our best recruiters are our own players, because as coaches, we can sit here and tell you how great things are and how we treat our players. But if we're full of crap, they're going to be with our players, and our players are going to tell them the truth that these guys are full of it. And so our players are our best recruiters. Same thing with the guys that are committed to us. And I think it's a test, or it's a, just another example of the world's a lot smaller right now with social media. All these kids know each other. A quarterback in Connecticut can develop a really close relationship with an offensive tackle in Dorchester, South Carolina, or whatever it may be. And that wasn't the case 10 years ago or even that long. So they all know each other. They're able to connect. They go to a lot of the same events and things like that. We had a bunch of committed guys that were here last weekend, and it wasn't like I was calling them, telling them, hey, you all need to come this weekend. One of them decided to come last weekend, and then the next thing you know, the whole crew is here, and they're trying to get other people. So love that aspect of it. Love that they're passionate about this place and want to recruit other people to it. And certainly they're really good players that they're recruiting, and we want to recruit really good players here to this place also. Who's going to Dallas? One? Gene? No? Who? Yeah, what? I got my what? Oh, I know. Hokies. Yep, I know. That could be an interesting Sunday if both teams advance, for sure. Go Gamecocks, though.